back to my channel. My name is Just a Fun Guy. This is Just a Fun Guy Coins. Today I'm recreating a video. The Complete Beginner's Guide to Coin Collecting. I did this video 8 months ago. It was the very first coin related video I ever posted on my channel, even before I rebranded it as a coin channel. Today, I got a lot more information to tell you and show you, and I have learned a lot more since the 8 months that I've uploaded this video. So without wasting time, here is everything you need to know about the coins you need to collect whilst coin collecting. Whether you're a noob or you just want to remind yourself on what to collect, welcome all. So with that being said, the first coin I'm going to start with is pennies. There are two types of penny boxes to look out for. Penny boxes are always going to be red. There's a penny box with holes at the bottom of it. Then there's this type of penny box that I'm showing you. Before I get to the coins themselves, there's two types of wrapped coins you need to know about. And not just for pennies, this pertains to all the coins. You're going to have the machine-wrapped coins. Machine-wrapped coins were put through a machine and not searched through by anybody who could potentially take out fines. I'm showing you what they look like in the roll before the pennies are put in them and then they're glued. And to open the machine-wrapped rolls, you have to break them open and you can't reuse them. Then, there are the customer-wrapped rolls. These are the rolls you get from the bank for free, and you put the pennies in them yourselves. Those are reusable. And you can reuse them, pull the pennies out, put them back in, collect your fines. Those are your two types of rolls you need to look out for. Machine-rolled and customer-rolled. And like I said, pennies are the example, but this will pertain to every coin continuing forward. The first type of penny you're going to encounter in these penny boxes, and most likely will be an ender, are things called shield cents. Shield cents are the newest penny we have. They have been minted since 2010. And when it comes to shield cents, you're not going to find anything particularly special. Shield cents are worth their face value unless they are certified Mint State Plus. Then they're worth maybe 30 to 40 cents, if that. The only shield cents that will be valuable are ones you get from the bank that have never been unwrapped, the brand new ones. And you keep them down the line 30, 40, 50 years from now, who knows how much they could be worth. But other than that, shield cents are decided you take them back to the bank as they are. Memorial cents. Memorial pennies. However you want to call them. They're the penny with the memorial, Lincoln Memorial on the back. They were minted for 49 years. From 1959 to 2008. If you find a Lincoln Memorial penny, that's going to be the second most common penny you'll find, if not the most common penny you'll find in circulated rolls. The Memorial penny has a few particular years to look out for. One, the year 1959. The 1959s aren't particularly worth much, but it's the first year these pennies were minted, hence them being cool. And so I have pulled out a few 1959s myself, but keep in mind the 1959s are worth an average of 1 cent. So they're not going to be much valuable money-wise, but for the coolness factor, I pull them out. 1982 was the next year to look out for. It's the last year pennies were made of copper. From 1982 on, they were made of zinc. from 1982 before, they're made of copper. And there are a couple of Lincoln Memorial penny errors to look out for, particularly in 1998 and 1999. That has to do with the letters A and M in America. And it was the only year that the pennies were made out of steel. And they looked like they would blend in with the dimes and quarters and the nickels and such. So those are the weak pennies to look out for. And then also the errors and the off-center ones to look out for as well. Indian head pennies. They are older than Lincoln cents. And you'll know if you'll find one in a roll. But if you ever find an Indian head penny in a roll, that is like a 1 in 1,000 roll find. You'll be lucky to find one a year if you are a regular coin roll hunter. Indian head pennies were minted for 50 years, from 1859 to 1909. And like I said, if you ever find one in a roll, you have struck gold. But if you think this is a rarity in your coin roll hunting finds, wait until I show you the last penny that I have for you. What's the last penny I have to show you? If you ever find one of these whilst cornrow hunting in a normal road, this is like a 1 in a million roll, or even 1 in a million box find. A flying eagle penny. They were made for 3 years, from 1854 to 1857. And you'll never find these in the machines because they're a different, they're made of a different material than Indian heads and so on. But the flying eagle is the oldest penny you'll find if you're lucky enough to find them. Heck, you struck gold if you find an Indian head, let alone a flying eagle. And you'll never find a penny older than a flying eagle in a normal penny roll, because before the flying eagle, pennies were a lot bigger. Pennies were about the size of a $50. So, a little bit of penny history for you. And now, on to the nickels. One penny DDO I'm going to cover today. And that's because it is so significant and it's so much money that if you find it, it is even rarer than finding an Indian head cent in your pennies. The 1955 double die cent. Not only is the 1955 doubled, the motto, "In God We Trust" is double, the United States of America is doubled, everything on the obverse of it is doubled. If you find one of these in regular circulating condition, it's at least $700. If you find one in uncirculated condition, it could be worth from anywhere from $1,500 to $15,000. Now we're moving a step up from pennies. We're going to the humble, famous 5-cent coin nickels. To identify a nickel box and a nickel roll, it's going to be blue. Blue is the nickel color. And just like the penny, there's going to be the machine wrapped and the customer wrapped rolls, but I covered that in the penny segment, and I said it pertained to all coins. So, you're a step up from pennies and you're hunting nickels. What do you find? Well, I'm about to show you. First things first, the brand spanking new nickels, the 2021s. They may not be brand spanking new if you're watching this a year from now, but the point still applies. If you get a box of brand new ones, you want to do a nickel hunt, but you go, oopsie, you got a brand new box. Oh well. Take a roll out and put it in the collection. Don't do anything with that roll, put it in your collection. Keep it sealed. Keep all those brand new nickels in there. Because you never know what's going to happen with the nickel 30, 40, 50 years from now. And the price could skyrocket, or they could stay a face value of 5 cents. But we're not going to know. And that's what I've done with some pennies. I have a brand new 2020 and 2021 pennies just sealed and not touched. Because you never know. In the early 2000s, there was a special nickel series that changed the reverse of the nickels, but kept the obverse. There were 4 nickel backs they were to look out for. Cores of Discovery, Lewis and Clark, Louisiana Purchase, and Ocean View of the Joy. And they all were around the beginning of American history, and that's what they were commemorating. If you find one of these nickels, or even all 4 of these nickels while hunting, they're not going to be worth much more than 5 cents in average condition. But what I would do is I would pull them out for a coolness factor. Especially if you're just starting out and you've never seen one of these nickels before, I'd pull them out just for the coolness factor. But for the value factor, they're not worth much more than 5 cents. In the early 2000s, proof nickels. What exactly are proof nickels? They're the next nickel on the list to talk about. But before I get into proof nickels and the other proof coins I have on the list for you today, what exactly are proof coins? They are the finest quality of coin produced by the United States Mint. Proof blanks are especially treated, hand polished, and cleaned to ensure the high quality strikes. The blanks are then fed into process with specially polished dies and are struck at least twice. They look like a mirror coin. They look like looking into a mirror. And proof Jefferson nickels were made in the Philadelphia Mint since 1968. Proofs have been struck at the San Francisco Mint. No proof nickels, Jefferson nickels, were minted from 1965 to 1967. What does this all boil down to? If your nickel has an S mint mark, meaning San Francisco, it is a proof. You will also see it as a proof because it looks a lot shinier. It just looks different than a regular nickel. And it stays shinier and mirror-like longer than a regular coin. The first year of the Jefferson nickel is 1938. And I recommend collecting Jefferson nickels from the 30s and 40s and maybe even the early 1950s. But how can you tell if a nickel is silver? Well, for 3 years, 1942 to 1945, there were these things called war nickels, and they were made out of silver. How can you tell if it's a war nickel? The mint mark. It's the same 3 mint marks, but instead of beside the Monticello on the reverse, it will be on top of the Monticello, as clear as day, P, D, or S. The Buffalo nickel. It was minted from 1913 to 1938, and it's one of my favorite coins of all time to find and collect. 1, it's silver, so you're going to get the silver content out of it. And 2, you're going to find at least 1 Buffalo nickel a box, if you're lucky. Buffalo nickels are actually more common to find coin collecting than nickel boxes than you'd think. I'd say the rarity is maybe 1 every 5 boxes to 1 every box. And if you get a collection dump, you could probably find whole rows of Buffalo nickels. You're going to find 2 types of Buffalo nickels while doing your coin roll hunts. Ones with a date on them, and ones without a date on them. Or more commonly, the year. The date and the year kind of are the same thing. The Buffalo nickel had a flaw to it, in which the year would fade away faster than any other part of the design. And you can fix that, or at least part of it, to see what year it is. You can use something called nicodate. It's a chemical that eats away at the top layer of the nickel to show you the more firmly pressed second layer that the year was printed on. But if it's one thing you're planning on selling, you can't sell that Buffalo nickel, because if you sell a nicodated nickel, the value is going to decrease by a lot. But if you're planning on keeping it in your collection, and you know how to use nicodate, and it's a fairly strong chemical, so I recommend you use the directions and proceed with caution, especially if you're new at it. So, if you're not planning on selling it and you know how to use it responsibly, nicodate away. The next nickel on the list. It is definitely really rare to see it while nickel hunting, but it's not impossible to find one. I've seen people find them. I've never found one nickel hunting myself. I've bought a few. And what nickel am I talking about? The nickel before the Buffalo, the V nickel, or the Liberty Head nickel. They were minted from 1883 until 1912. And just like the Buffalo nickel, they're very easy to spot when you're nickel hunting. You'll see a V with a wreath on the back. The V is Roman numeral for 5. And the head, it's called the Liberty head because it's the Statue of Liberty on the front of it. V-nickels, there are some V-nickels that are worth more than others. And you may think 1912 was the last year for the V-nickel, but there are 1913 V-nickels. There were 4 of them ever minted, and it's one of the rarest coins in the world. As far as I know, all 4 have homes and private collections. But let's say you find a 5th 1913 V-nickel. It has an average value of $3.4 million, and if it's in really good condition, it could be worth $4.4 million. So if you find a V-nickel and it's a 1913, you could be very rich very soon. But on the off chance you don't find a 5th V-nickel, which that's very, very, very likely, and depends on what condition it is and what year it is, it could definitely be worth a lot more than 5 cents, that's for sure. The last nickel on the list I'm going to mention, it's kind of like an honorable mention because you're most likely never going to find one of these in a nickel box in circulation. But since it's the first nickel ever made, I thought, you know what, on the off chance somebody does find one, they know what it is. A shield nickel. Before a shield nickel, the coin before that was a half dime. And then the shield nickel came, and the shield nickel phased out the half dime. But the shield nickel, it was minted from 1866 to 1883, and it was the first 5-cent piece to ever be made, and it's made out of a 75% copper, 25% nickel. I got a shield nickel, and I got a great deal on it, I think on Etsy or one of them websites, and a shield nickel is a great one to buy if you want to buy coins. But if you're nickel hunting, it's probably not likely you're going to find one. I mean, you have a better chance of finding it than a 1913 V-nickel, but there's a shield nickel. The next coin on the list. It's not the smallest coin, but it is the smallest coin. I'm talking about dimes. Dime boxes and dime rolls. Dime's magic color is green. And you can tell they're dime rolls because they're the smallest rolls you can get from the bank. Dimes are cute little coins. And when you're dime roll hunting, what exactly should you be looking for? Well, I got the answers for you. Aside from the obvious, keep a brand new roll, which is what I've been saying for the last 2 coins, the first dime you should look out for is the 2009 year dimes. And what I forgot to mention is the 2009 nickels as well, because in 2009, they were low mintage. They didn't mint that many coins in 2009, especially dimes and nickels. So the first dime to look out for is the 2009 ones. Before I mention the pre-Roosevelt dimes, I should say that there were dimes that were made of silver after 1964. Silver-proof dimes. And silver-proof dimes are pretty hard to find. Every year they were minted, they were a low mint. And the most I've seen is about 1 million minted. And a lot of silver-proof dimes come in sets, so if you see one and it's individual, it probably came from a set. And if you've watched my videos, I have shown all of my silver chump change, and I do have a few silver-proof dimes. Yes, they're rare, but they're not impossible to find. Mercury dimes. These were the dimes that were made before the Roosevelt dimes. Mercury dimes were minted from 1916 to 1945. Why should you take mercury dimes out of circulation? One, because they're super cool, and it depends on what year you get, they're super old. And two, they're 90% silver. Mercury dimes don't have that many errors or DDOs or anything like that. So other than maybe finding one off center, you're not going to find an error mercury dime. But if you do, that's cool. But taking them out because of 90% silver, that's what you should do. The last dime I'm going to cover is one you may not see it when dime hunting. Mercury dimes can be a common occurrence, but barber dimes aren't really a common occurrence while dime hunting because I think it has to do with the fact they're so old. And they were only minted from 1892 to 1916. They're called barber dimes because the guy who designed them's last name is Barber. And barber dimes are recognizable because of a total different design and the fact they were minted from 1892 to 1916. And there was a 0% chance you'll see seeded Liberty dimes. Those were before barber dimes. And the dimes before them, you're probably not going to see those either. The next coin on the list, quarters. Quarters are obviously going to be the most expensive coin to hunt. To give you an idea how expensive quarters are, $10 goes into one roll. Take a look at $10 in penny rolls versus 1 quarter roll. Both are $10. And it's going to be $500 for 1 quarter box. And quarters are the hardest coin to hunt. And what exactly are the quarters you should be looking out for? I got them right here. You're not going to see these quarters until next year in circulation. But these are the American Women's Quarters. It's a program. The American Women Quarters program is a 4-year program that celebrates the accomplishments and contributions made by women to the development of history of our country. Beginning in 2022 and continuing through 2025, the U.S. Mint will issue up 5 new reverse designs with each year. The obverse of the coin will keep George Washington on there, but the reverse is going to have 5 American women that helped shape our country. And the 2 women up here that I have to show you on the quarters are Sally Ride and Maya Angelou. Last year, 2020, there were certain quarters, and I'm showing you a certain quarter reverses, and if you got quarters with that reverse, take a look at the obverse. If the obverse has a P mint mark or a D mint mark, it's a regular quarter. But if it has a W mint mark, meaning West Point, that quarter is a specialty quarter. They are very low minted, and very low mintage W quarters can go for $5, $10, $15, and depends on what condition they are. So if you get a 2020 quarter with any of these reverses, look for the W, you got yourself a keeper. State quarters. State quarters there were certain states that were minted in certain years. I think it started in 1998, 1999, and ended in 2005, 2006. State quarters aren't worth much more than face value, but if you have or you want to collect all 50 states, you can get a map or a book and put them in there, and then you have a quarter book for your collection. So it would be cool to collect the state quarters if you do quarter hunt. Bicentennial quarters. Bicentennial quarters are quarters that commemorate America's 200th birthday. On the obverse of the coin, it'll say 1776 to 1976. And on the reverse, it'll be a drummer in the Revolutionary War. These quarters are super cool to collect because, America turned 200. And from what I hear, you only turn 200 once. The next type of quarters you need to look out for are silver quarters. Silver Washington quarters were minted from 1964 back. 1964 forward, not silver. 1964 to 1932, that's the silver Washington quarter era. And what was minted before the Washington quarters? Stay tuned and you'll see. What were the quarters that were made before Washington? SLQs, or Standing Liberty quarters. They were minted from 1916 to 1932. And the Standing Liberty quarter is a particularly cool quarter because it's got Liberty standing with body armor all over the body. And on the back is an eagle, I think. It is, yep, an eagle. And regular SLQs just have the body armor and it covers everything. But the one SLQ that I'm showing you is one you should need to look out for because our coins had partial brief nudity on them at one point. This SLQ had the Liberty with an exposed breast. And the fact that our currency at one point had nudity on it, I find that to be pretty amusing. Quarter on the list you should look out for is the barber quarter. Barber quarters you'll most likely not find in circulation, but if you do, that's what they look like. Some barber quarters are rarer than others. Take for example the 1909P, almost 10 million minted, but the 1913S only 40,000 minted. It depends on what you get. It depends on how valuable the barber quarter is, and in any coin collector's eyes, they are real valuable. The next coin you can hunt, it's a more obscure coin, and not every bank is going to have a whole box, and there may be banks that don't even have these at all. Half dollars. Just like quarters, you can get $500 in halves. And when it comes to the half dollars, there really isn't much to go through or to necessarily find. All there is to find is silver. And the silver half dollars you need to look for are from 1968 back. 1968 to 1964, those are 40% silver. 1964 back, 90% silver. Here's an example of what you need to look for visually. This is what they look like. A silver Kennedy half dollar made of 90% silver. And from 64 back, 90% silver. From 64 to 68, 40%. From 68 onward, clad. When it comes to finding finds in half dollar boxes, let's say you go to your bank, you get a few half dollar boxes, and you find nothing. That's normal. You can get 10 boxes and find nothing, that's normal. Half dollars are the hardest coin you can ever hunt. But let's say you do get some silver, but you didn't get a Kennedy silver. You got a silver half dollar with the face of Ben Franklin on it. Those are Ben Franklin half dollars. And these were the half dollars that were minted before Kennedy. And there's a good chance you'll find these, if you're lucky enough. And you might even find the half dollars that were minted before the Benjis. The last types of half dollars that you'll most likely find half dollar hunting, if you're lucky, are these. Walking Liberty half dollars. Second to the Buffalo nickel, one of my personal all-time favorite designed coins ever. It's kind of hard to say which is number 2 and which is number 1, but I like both these designs equally. And it is silver, so take it out of circulation if you do find one. And there are also barber half dollars as well, but you're never gonna find a barber half dollar hunting. The oldest you'll find is a Walking Liberty half dollar, then maybe a Benji and a silver Kennedy if you're lucky. But like I said, if you want to hunt half dollars, you're going to go through a lot of skunk boxes. The last coins on the list I have for you today are dollar coins. And when it comes to dollar coins, banks might not even have any dollar coins worth hunting, or even for hunting. And if they do, you may only get a handful of dollar coin rolls, maybe 10 rolls. It's very uncommon and unheard of to hunt dollar coins, but if you do, these are some dollar coins to look out for. Look out for Ike dollars, Susan B. Anthony dollars, and this one particular gold dollar that could be worth thousands of dollars. The $1 you should look out for is a Cheerio dollar. There is a regular Sacagawea dollar, and there's a Cheerio dollar, and they look relatively identical. But there is one identifying characteristic that makes a Cheerio dollar, and a Sacagawea dollar. The one defining characteristic that makes it a Cheerio dollar is the braided tail feathers you see above you here. These braided tail feathers on the picture that I'm showing you make it a Cheerio dollar. The non-braided regular straight line tail feathers make it just a regular Sacagawea dollar. Only a few thousand were minted, and in 2020, a very good condition MS-67 one went for $8,400, and an MS-68 PCGS certified coin, it went for $10,200. They're rare, and they were only given out in boxes of Cheerios, hence the name Cheerio dollar. But if you do find one, you have a several $1,000 coin. Well, I have given you the penny, the nickel, the dime, the quarter, the dollar, and the half dollar. Those are all the coins you could potentially coin roll hunt here if you live in America. I have covered only the bare minimum, because if you're just a pure beginner, this is what you need to know. And yes, the video was going to be quite long, but if you've watched it all through and you've taken down all the information, this is enough to get you going. So with that being said, I hope you enjoyed it. My name is Just a Fun Guy. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share, and hit that bell icon. And until next time, I'm signing off. If you want to reach me other than YouTube comments, my email and social media is down below. And, well, I'm signing off. So long.